Hello everyone, welcome to today's LinkedIn workshop. My name is Jesse. I'm an employment specialist. This is our second installment on LinkedIn branding. Last time we spoke about graphics and how you can create those using PowerPoint and simple tools. This time we are going to talk a little bit more about the text portion of your LinkedIn profile and how you can make that fit in with your branding. So specifically, we're going to talk about custom URLs. We're going to talk about your headliner, and we're going to talk about your LinkedIn summary. It starts now. So why are we putting such an emphasis on the text in your LinkedIn account? Well, here's why. Statistically, 87% of recruiters use LinkedIn to vet candidates, especially if it's a much more higher paying job or if it's further along in the recruitment process, especially before they pass this along to a decision maker. Also, there are 65 million decision makers using LinkedIn. Now, both of these groups also use LinkedIn as a search engine, and they type in keywords to look up different profiles and find people that can perform certain skills. So you want to make sure that when they are doing these searches, that your LinkedIn account comes up. To ensure that your LinkedIn profile has good keywords, I always recommend starting off with the job posting, specifically 5 from different companies for the same job goal. From there, you want to run those through a word cloud generator, which will scan the text and create a word cloud that looks like this. The larger the word, the more times it's used, the more important it is, but it still gives you a list of all the different key words. I actually go into far more detail in the resume starter video and use word cloud generators as the bonus resource. I also do it by hand, go over each and individual job posting and do an example of creating one from scratch. If you're interested, please feel free to check out that video in the description below. Also, I want to draw your attention to a resource for those who use MS Office 365. It is called the LinkedIn Resume Assistant. Let's take a look at that. And here we are in Microsoft Word. To take a look at the Resume Assistant portion, we're going to go over to the Review tab. And over here in the corner, again, this is only for those that have MS Office 365. We can click the Resume Assistant, and then we just enter in a role that we are interested in looking at. So we'll say accountant. And then we enter in the industry. Let's say construction, or actually let's go with IT services. It's been a while since I've done IT. And search. And then you can also filter by top skills, such as accounts payable. And I'll give you some examples of accountants in the IT services industry or consulting industry and what those look like. It also goes over what are some of the top skills for that particular industry. As you can see, there's not much difference between an accountant in one industry from another, but that is a great resource for that. You can also see down here there's a number of articles that have been put out by LinkedIn on how to write a good resume, and then below is a series of jobs with the same title. So that is Resume Assistant for you. You can't copy and paste it because what they really want you to do is to just see an example so that you can modify and change your own. Now that we've talked about keywords, let's talk about how to customize your URL or web address. To customize your web address or LinkedIn URL, you first start off with your LinkedIn profile, and in the upper right hand corner you will find it says edit public profile and URL. So we're going to go ahead and click that. Next, you want to click on the little pen icon and then type your custom URL. So look there, and we can type text, maybe employment Jesse P. But actually I like my last one, so I'm going to type Jesse Preston employment, and then we will click save. And there we have it. My URL has been updated. And of course, search engines will be able to start searching my profile based on the new LinkedIn URL. This does take a few minutes for it to update because of the refresh rate, but that is essentially it for the URL. Another great way how to stand out on LinkedIn is having a great LinkedIn headline. Now, most people just put their job title and the company they work for, which is great. It tells people what they do and where they work, but it misses so much. And for 220 characters, that is a lot of unused prime real estate on your LinkedIn account. So I recommend having a statement of some kind rather than just your job title, and make that stand out using Unicode text. Now, don't worry, Unicode text is just a way how to change your font on LinkedIn, and I'll include a link to a Unicode text converter in the video description. My suggestion for developing a good LinkedIn headliner is to use keywords such as a job title followed by a key outcome or a specific claim. My LinkedIn profile says Disability Employment Specialist, accelerating clients' performance through strategy, accommodation, and business tools. You can tell an awful lot about what I do and how I operate from this statement. It also complements the graphics that I have on my LinkedIn profile. Another recommendation could be using keywords again, and then followed by key knowledge areas or specific skills, such as this one for a project manager. PMP project manager, Scrum/Agile methodologies, change management, data analysis, and stakeholder collaboration. When it comes to developing a good LinkedIn summary, I recommend the 5-section LinkedIn summary model. Those sections include an opening statement, followed by key outcomes or key highlights, followed by ideal working environment, followed by services, and finally a closing statement. Let's look at these in more detail. When I'm helping people create an opening statement for their LinkedIn summary, there's a few key elements that I always try to include. One is a statement about their job title and past experience, as well as who they really want to interact with on LinkedIn, and maybe some information about their professional brand. Here's an example that I use for myself. As an employment professional with a background in recruiting, I work to help companies see potential in employees, strategize to overcome obstacles, and ultimately make a difference. Additionally, you can also try the 3-point intro as a great way how to create a summary statement. Like this example, as an office administrator, I enable companies to achieve their potential by looking after the business/work processes, organization, paperwork, and tracking data. Currently, I'm looking to learn more about companies in the manufacturing sector. From this statement, you can tell what they do, you can tell how they do it, and you can tell what is the opportunity they're looking for next. When it comes to your key highlights section, there's a number of things that you can do. You can include key points from your resume, you can include key achievements, you can include case studies. And I would suggest putting them in bullet point form. And you want to start off by some kind of outcome statement, followed by the different bullet points that you use. For my bullet point, I started off with a little statement about myself, and then I went into some of the key highlights of my career so far. So at this point, you might be wondering, how do I get bullet points on LinkedIn? There's no button to push for bullet points. Well, there's a bit of a formula and trick to it. So if you are using a PC, you want to hold down the Alt button and hit 0, 1, 4, 9. And if you are using a Mac, you want to hold down the Alt button and hit 8. And your bullet point will appear in whatever text you are currently editing. The ideal working environment section as part of your summary tells recruiters and managers what kind of opportunities you do well in. This is great when a recruiter is assessing your fit for a particular type of role or within a particular corporate culture. Some really great tips for figuring out what to put in this section can include asking yourself the following questions. What gets you up in the morning, engaged and ready to work? What is important to you in a workplace environment? And finally, think about a workplace or school environment that you performed well in. What were some of the key factors that led to that success? Was it the flexibility of working from home? Was it novel or repetitive? What was the degree of autonomy? Was it very teamwork oriented or very individual oriented or independent work oriented? What was the degree of formality? Was this an environment where people wore suits every day, or was it very casual? And finally, does this workplace invest in growth and development? Earlier I mentioned that recruiters and decision makers like to use LinkedIn as a search engine to find people who can perform certain skills. So under the services section, I like to break down the different services and then load them up with keywords. As you can see from my list, I would come up in searches about epilepsy employment. I'd come up in searches about onboarding, return to work, epilepsy, memory, ADHD. So this is a real easy and simple way to get a lot of keywords into your summary. And I like to close out the LinkedIn summary with a statement for the reader on what they can expect to get out of the rest of my profile. As a working professional, I wrote, please feel free to check out some of my resources and posts. If you are looking for something more in depth, please send me a connection request with the topic or reason you wish to connect. So if they've gone through and read my profile, they'll know the best way how to contact me and reach out to me. A job seeker example might be something like this. Currently looking to learn more about different companies in the industry, please feel free to send me a connection request. You're basically saying you're open for networking. And finally, I'd like to make mention of a really cool resource called Grammarly. It is a free editing tool. Please feel free to check it out. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm just a fan. It was recently suggested to me as part of professional development, and I've just loved this resource. So give that a check out because it can really help you, especially with editing things in your LinkedIn profile where there isn't really much of a spell check option. And thank you for watching. Again, my name is Jesse. I'm an employment specialist. If you are interested in checking out the video where we went over graphics and how you can create that on PowerPoint, you can click here for that link. You can also check out our video on Resume Starters where we talk about word clouds and we go a little bit more in depth into that. Feel free to subscribe and we'll see you next time.